this meeting. I'll go ahead and start that recording right now, which I am now. So when this is over, if you'd like, I can convert it into a video for you and send you the link to that video probably about an hour to 2 hours after this is over. You'll have that email, okay?
Yes, thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, we're already recording, so we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the proper way to add a client. Now, there are several different ways to add clients to your system. The first is right here from the main menu. From the main menu, we've got this Clients button. Now, if I left-click on this Clients button, this allows me to pull up a customer that's already in my database. So once your database is full, you'll be able to pull up people this way. If you're using a touch screen, you can use these buttons here. Now, I'm going to use them with my mouse, but you could certainly use them with your finger. Let's say I wanted to pull up Michelle Babcock. The more information I put in, the shorter the list is going to be. For instance, if I just put in a B and hit select, everybody whose last name starts with B is going to appear. If I put in B-A-B and then select, obviously it's a much shorter list. And the more I put in, I could have put Babcock in, and then because she's the only one like that, she would have been the only one to appear. And by clicking on the name of the person I want, their client file will come up. Again, I can look up a customer by last name by default, or by first name, by telephone number, or even by swiping a membership card or putting in a membership number. I can also use my keyboard to do the same thing. So I want to look up Miss Babcock, just type it in and hit enter, and again, I'm right there again. Again, that's for people who are already in your database. To add somebody new, we can go to that same button and right-click. Instead of left-clicking on that button, we right-click, and this is where now we can add a customer. So I put in some basic information, and I can hit Add Now, or I can hit More after I've put in some basic information and get a lot more information to put in. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in a fake name here. I'm going to put in Caroline Panchu. Now, I don't need any of this additional information, just a first and last name. If I hit Add Now, she'll be in my system. If I hit More, then I can continue adding additional information, everything from the person that she prefers to see, whether or not I accept checks from her. I can see her history, everything, as long as I fill this information in as well. And then I hit Save, and I can close it. She's now part of my database. Also, if I was in the appointment book, whether I'm in the day view screen or the week view screen, I can go up to this button and again, left click to pull somebody up, or right click on my client button to add somebody brand new in order to book an appointment for them. So that's getting a person into the system. I can also do it from the sales screen. So I can click on clients here to add somebody to my sales ticket, or I can hit new to add somebody brand new to my sales ticket. So there's several different places which to add a customer, but it's all done the same way. The next thing that we're going to talk about, unless you have any questions on that, is
no questions.
Okay. Yeah, and please feel free to just interrupt me, by the way, if you do have a question. I'm going to go ahead now and say we're going to add or look up a service. So I can go to Setup, and then from Setup, I go to my my Salon and Spa Services. Now on yours, it may say something different. It may say Salon Services or Spa Services or Doctor Sessions. It really could say anything based on the designators that were put in when it was first installed. But I'm going to click on Salon and Spa Services, and that brings up this window. Now with your data already in, you'll already have groups, and in each one of these groups, you have the necessary services associated with them. So for instance, if I select massage, all of my massages are here. If I choose hair, all of my hair services are here, etc. So how do I add something like that? I want to create a group name from scratch, and I want to add services to it from scratch. So it's really very simple. I go into that same thing, Setup, Salon or Spa Services, and where it says Group Name, I'm going to go ahead and put in whatever that group name may be. So I'm going to create a brand new group called Panchu. So I type in the name and I hit enter. That's it. I've now created a group. So now I've got a list of groups here, including a new group called Panchu. So within that group, I have no services currently. So what I want to do is create a brand new service. Now, I apologize. Are you a salon or a spa?
Both.
Both. Okay. No problem at all. So let's just go with something here called, because I'm going to show you 3 different types of services. I'm going to call this the Panchu 30. So after I've typed in the service name within my group, I hit enter on my keyboard, and not only will it drop it down here into this list, But now it also appears here on the right. Now I'm going to use these tabs to define my service. My first tab is prices. So I'm going to assign a price to this. My Pan Shoot 30, I'm going to say is $50. So I put in my price. That's all I need to do. Now, there's other things that I can do here. For instance, if I charge tax for this particular service, I can click this button and put in a percentage, etc. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say I put in my price, done. Now I'm going to go to time, and I'm going to select how much time does this service take. And I'm going to say it takes 30 minutes. Now, mine is set up for 15-minute increments, but you can change it to 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute increments. But mine's at 15, so I'm going to click this button on the right twice to add 2 15-minute increments. So this is 30 minutes. That's my Pan Shoot 30, 30 minutes. This is my total time. Now you'll notice I've got 3 things here, single, double, and triple. I'm going to say that this is a single, and a single means that the provider of the service is with the customer the entire time. So there's one block of time. That's what is called a single, one block of time. Then, if any rooms are associated with this service, I can go to rooms and choose any rooms that are associated with it. If there's any equipment associated with it, I can choose equipment and choose any equipment that may be associated with it. And whether or not this requires any cleanup and who's doing the cleanup. For instance, if I wanted to add an additional 15 minutes to the end of this as cleanup, then I'm going to click here one time for 15 minutes, and I can say the operator, the provider of the service, does the cleanup. And if any rooms or equipment were assigned, I could even choose to block them out for an additional 15 minutes as well, or none. And then finally, if you have multiple locations, I can say what location this can be done at both of my locations or at just one, or if I don't have multiple locations, I just don't bother with that tab at all. We're not going to talk about Darcy this class. So I'm going to go ahead and press save, and you'll see the word saved in red appear. This Pan Shoot 30 now exists. It is now ready to be booked or sold for the $50 price. Now we're going to create a second service, and this is going to be called the Pan Shoot 60, or actually, you know what, I'm going to go with the Pan Shoot 90 instead. I'm going to show you how this one's going to be different. Go ahead.
How do you know which service provider does this service?
We're going to go over that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
As soon as I finish setting up my group and my services, then I'm going to assign staff members.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no problem at all. We will definitely do that. So I'm going to create a new service called the Pan Shoot 90. And I'm going to put in my price. I'm going to say that this is $125. And I'm going to go to my time. And this time, obviously, 90 minutes. That's an hour and a half. This time, though, I'm going to make it a double. Remember, a single meant that the provider was with the client for one block of time, the entire time. But with a double, it's a little bit different. So you do hair services. So you probably do things like color as well, or some chemical.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say application time is 30 minutes. And I'm going to say that my processing time, this is the amount of time that the customer is processed without the provider with them. And I'm going to say that that's 30 minutes. Now remember, my total time is an hour and a half. So that was my total time here of an hour and a half, but I've said my first half hour is dedicated to application, my second half hour is processing, and that leaves 30 minutes. This is my finish time. So my double means that there are 2 times that the provider is with the customer with a gap in between. And I'm going to save that. So now I've got a Pan Shoot 90 in there with the full time separated by application, processing, and finish time. Now I'm going to create one more. This is going to be my Pan Shoot 2.5. And again, we'll give it a price, $200 perhaps. And my times in this case, I'm going to say that this is a full 2.5 hours. This time, I'm not going to choose a double. I'm going to choose a triple. So in a salon environment, this would be known as a double process, because we're going to have 2 separate processing times, 3 separate times that the provider is with the customer. So my first application time will take 1 minute, my first process time, then the provider comes back, and let's say for another half hour, and then they process again, let's say for another half hour. So now I've got 3 distinct times that the provider is with the customer with 2 gaps in between. These are my separate processing times. So this would be like a double process. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and save that. Okay, so we've now created a group, and we have given it 3 different services within that group. Now, within that group, I can go over here to my group membership, and I can scroll through my staff members, and I can check off all of the staff members that are going to provide these services. So let's say Pat, Christian, Debbie, and we'll choose one more, we'll say Lachey. So these are the 4 people that can provide the services now, and we'll save that. Those people are now part of my Panchu group. None of my other staff members are, just those 4 people that I've selected under group membership. Now, if I go to prices and I choose a specific service, right now I'm in Panchu 2.5, but I could choose any service at all. If I go to my operator price, these are the people who provide the service. Now, I don't have to worry about it. I could just leave it just the way it is. And each one of them will have $200 for this, or $50 for this, or $125 for that, etc. But what I can also do is choose a specific person, like Kathy, and change her price. So I'm going to say hers is $220. So by making her price different, the other 3 will be the default price, but if I book with Kathy, it'll be $220. And save that. So I've set a specific person with a different price than my standard price. If I haven't given a different price to the other providers, then they default to my standard price. Same thing goes with times. This is my default time. But I could choose a specific person, like Kathy, and say hers is actually 2 hours and 45 minutes, and that her finish time is 45 minutes, or maybe not. Maybe her second application time is 45 minutes and her finish time is still 30. Or maybe her first application time is 45 minutes. Or perhaps even the first processing time. Whatever it is I want to do, I can adjust it up the time that I've put it here so that Kathy's time will be and different than everybody else. And once I've selected a specific time for Kathy, I can press save. Now hers is going to be a little bit different than everybody else. If I were to go into my appointment book now, and we'll get to the appointment book later, but I just want to show you that this group now exists. There's my Panchu group, and these are the 4 people that can provide services. I can now choose a service, like my Panchu, let's say 30, and I choose a client, whoever they may be. Let's go with Precious here. And at 10 o'clock, I'm going to book it with Kathy. Left, lock out my time, right click, choose what type of customer appointment is booked. Well, I just created the service, and now they exist, and they're ready to be sold or booked. Now, if I were to choose something else, let's go ahead and go with another customer here. We'll go with Angela Fajardo here, and I'll choose Panchu 90. And I'll book that with Deb at 9 p.m. And you'll see, again, this one's a little bit different. Again, I've got a process time that I can book another appointment, like maybe a half-hour haircut or something like that. So that's how they're set up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay. All right, and again, we'll get to booking appointments a little bit. I'm going to how to create a group, create services, assign to those groups and services, and even assign separate prices and times to those as well. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about, unless there's any questions on anything you've already heard, we're going to talk about inventory, how to get inventory into the system. Normally, put a product in, now of course your product will probably already be in the system, but you may need to add one or make changes. So you'll go to this button here that says inventory and left click on it. So that gives us this window here. Now, if a product is already in, I needed to make changes to it. I can either look up the product by name by clicking on my lookup button, or I can put in the SKU number if I know it. So here's my Justin All-in-One shampoo. And there's a lot of information here. It can look a little bit confusing. It's actually pretty simple. And I'm going to go over the steps right now. So let's say that I wanted to add a product brand new. Well, you know what? Before we do that, let's just make a change. Let's say, for instance, that my cost has changed. I've got it at $11.10 from California Supplies. Maybe they've raised their price to $11.50. So I can change it right here and then save. So anything that I've already got in the system, I can change anything that you see here: the name, the manufacturer, the category, etc. And I'm going to go ahead and save after I've made any changes. But what if the product doesn't exist in the system? Again, I can go in here and I'm going to click on New SKU. And by clicking on New SKU, it gives me my next SKU number in sequence. Now, you may look at this number and say, this is my 30,210th product, but it's not. It's my 3,021st product. Every SKU in the system ends with a 0. So product number 1 is 10 or a 10. Product number 2 is 20 or a 20. The fact is that every SKU is 0. And the reason for that is because that 0 is placeable so that you can have up to 9 different vendors on a single product. So if you buy the same product, the duplicate product from multiple vendors, you can have that in the system as well. So here I am, I pulled up my, so it pulls up my next SKU number in sequence. And then I can choose, is this a retail product, is this a professional product, or is this part of a, like a gift basket? I'm going to say it's a retail product. And now I put in my product description. So let's call this, oh, I don't know, I'll call this JoJo Color. And I'll say 15 ounce. So this is the name of my product, my JoJo Color 15 ounce, whatever that is, I don't know. And then I can choose from my list of manufacturers who makes this product. And I'll say Denman makes the product. And the category, what category does this fall under? I don't know. Let's say that it falls under, we'll say shampoos. It's a type of shampoo. Now, if I am using a barcode scanner where it says UPC code, I would scan the product and it would fill in here. If I am not using a barcode scanner, I can skip that altogether. If I am planning on using a barcode scanner, but I don't have one now, I can type the UPC code in for later use. Or if the product does not have a barcode on it, and I do want to use a barcode scanner, then all I need to do is put in the SKU number here, because the software can actually generate its own barcode label that you can then put on a product. Next, we have our list and sell price. The list price is your MSRP. It's really not necessary. It's really for your information purposes. So we could skip that if we want. But the sell price, this is what we actually sell this product for. And I'm going to say it's $30. So I put in my sell price. Then I have my minimum and my max price. My minimums are usually basically your shelf presence, your minimum stocking level. This is the fewest of this product you would ever want to have on hand before you know you need to order more. So maybe I'll say 6. And then my maximum. This is the most of this product I ever want to order at one time from any particular vendor. Basically, this is what I'm going to have stored in the back after I put up my shelf presence. Maybe that's 24. So I've got this basic information in, and I'm actually done now with this top half. I don't need any additional information in this top half. I'm going to drop down to my bottom half now, and now I can choose who do I buy this product from. Not who makes it, but who do I buy it from? This is my vendor. And I'm going to say California Supplies, and then how much does it actually cost? Let's say that I've got 1% markup. I'm going to say it's $15 is my cost price. Best price and best quantity, just skip it, right? But what it means is that if you, let's say you've got a representative over at California Supplies, his name is Matt, and Matt tells you, he says to Caroline, hey Caroline, if you buy this product, if you buy 50 of them at one time, we'll sell them to you for $13 each. Well then 13 was my best price, and my best quantity would be 50. That way, when I am creating my purchase orders, if I were to order 40 or fewer of them on any PO, they would be $15. But if I broke that magic number, I bought 50 of them on any one PO, it would automatically adjust their price to $13. That's all that means. And you can leave them blank, or as I said, you can make those changes so that your purchase orders will be accurate. Next, we have order in quantity of. We recommend that you leave it as a 0.
Okay.
If you leave it as a 0, you can order this product in any quantity you like. You could order 1, you could order 5, you could order 17, you could order 28, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if you put a number in here, like a 3, then you can only order it in quantities of 3. So you can go 3 or 6 or 9 or 12, whatever it may be. That's going to be based on what your vendor is putting. If this product only comes in packages of 3, then you would want to put a 3 here. Again, if you leave it at 0, you can order it in any quantity you like on your PO. The vendor order number can be left blank. If your vendor knows what it is you're ordering, when you order a JoJo Color 50 ounce, great, then just leave that blank. But if your vendor says, you know what, we sell the JoJo Color 50 ounce and we sell it in 5 different styles for different types of hair, then they're not going to know what you're ordering with just that name. So you may need to use their SKU number. So their SKU number is naturally going to be different than your SKU number. So you'll put in their SKU number here for the vendor order number. Don't worry about last ordered or on PO. Those will fill themselves in. This will be the date of your last purchase order for this product, and this will be the PO number that you ordered it on. Also, the average cost, don't concern yourself with. It will fill itself in based on your cost price. And if you have multiple vendors on the product, it will average the price out based on what those vendors are charging. Finally, we come down here to beginning inventory date. So when we first put this product in for the very first time, we do a physical count and we say, how many of these do we actually have in hand right now? Maybe we have 16. So I'll type in the number 16 and hit enter. So beginning quantity shows as 16. My ending quantity shows as 16. If I were to save this now, this product would be ready to be sold. The received, sold, returned, and adjusted, you don't need to concern yourself with. The system takes care of those for you. When you receive this product on a PO and you accept that PO, it will change this to however many you ordered. And it will change your ending quantity on hand, not your beginning quantity. Your beginning quantity will always stay at 16. That's your base number. That's what you started with. If you sell a product, then the number will be here, like a 1. So then this 16, and then this is sold 1, and my ending quantity is 15. My return. If somebody does a merchandise return, the system will ask you, do you want to return this product to inventory? If you say yes, then my 15 changes to a 16 again, and my return will show 1. And if you did a physical count a few months later, and it said you had 16, let's say, the software says you've got 16, but you did a physical count, and you've got 14. Maybe a couple of them fell and they broke, and you said, you know, throw those away, but you never changed it. So when you did your physical count and you see you only have 14, you can change this number to 14, your ending quantity. Your beginning quantity will stay 16, but your ending quantity now is 14. They're adjusted now automatically. So these numbers take care of themselves. After you put in your beginning quantity and hit enter, you simply hit save. This product is now available for sale.
And how is your your tax set up? Is it tax included?
Yes, the tax will certainly be included. When you first set up, you go to Setup, Configuration, Sales Register. And this is where you put in your sales tax.
Okay.
So I can put in a retail tax rate, a service tax rate, and even an additional retail tax rate if your state requires that. If you break, for instance, a particular number, so additional taxes are.
We have 2 different service taxes.
Okay, that's fine. You can put in a base service tax here, and on a particular service, you can change that as well when you set up that service. But it'll default to your service tax rate if you don't change it.
Okay. But
So
you can change it. Every service you can change individually. Yeah.
That's right. Yes. So if I had a service rate of, let's say, 7%, then all of my services are going to be listed at 7%, unless I say, but my massages are actually 9%. So then when you set up a massage, you would change that in the actual service itself to 9%. And everything else would still be defaulted to 7. If you would put 7 here. This is going to be your default tax rate. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So we'll go ahead And just very quickly here, let's go ahead and take a look at what we just did. I'll pull up a customer, and let's say Catherine here, she would like to buy a product. So I can then type in the SKU number, or I can scan a product. And let's say I'm going to sell her the Justin All-in-One shampoo, say who sold it to her. And Catherine was sold by Jessica the Justin All-in-One shampoo for $21, and it put my tax. Clear that. We're going to get to sales in just a little bit. First, we're talking about data entry. So do you have any questions on adding a product to your inventory?
No.
All right. Now, you'll notice that when we added a product, we were able to choose from our manufacturers.
Yes.
And we were also able to choose from our categories, and we were able to choose from our vendors. Well, when you first get the software, there are no manufacturers, categories, or vendors in the system. So you need to add those. And you add those by going to inventory, indexes, and then you can add vendors, manufacturers, or categories. And it's really very simple to add them. For instance, if I go to vendor, I can go to add, modify. And now I can give it a code. So whatever the code is, it should make sense to the name of the vendor. And then my name, and I'm going to call this Caroline Roger. But of course, it can be any name at all. And save. I have now created a vendor. It's that simple. So I do that until all of my vendors are in the system. Then inventory, indexes, manufacturers, add, modify. And I can put in a code. And save. I've just created a manufacturer. And inventory, indexes, categories, and add, modify. I know it doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't matter. And save. Now, if I were to go into inventory and I wanted to add a product, I could choose from my list of manufacturers, and the manufacturers that I just put in there is now going to exist. And my category is going to exist as well. And my vendor is going to be in the system as well. So now I can add a product using the manufacturers, categories, and vendors that I've added to it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so that's entering inventory. We've talked about clients, we've talked about inventory, we talked about groups and services. Now, what if when you get this data put in, hopefully your staff is also put in. But you need to know how to enter a staff member if you hire somebody new, or if you need to remove somebody as well. And we do that by going to Setup. And then from Setup, we go to our operator files. Again, yours might say something different. It might say esthetician files or technician files or stylist files, whatever the designators were then you were put in. So we're going to go ahead and select operator files. Now, as you can see, I've got a whole lot of people, and I've got rooms and equipment in here as well. If I needed to remove somebody, Kayla left. So I can choose Kayla, and I can now mark her inactive. That'll free up her space, and I can add somebody new. So I can just mark her inactive and accept. Can I delete her? Yeah, I can delete her. But it's probably not a very good idea to delete her, simply because if you delete somebody out of the system, then in a client's history, it won't be able to show you that Kayla did the service because she doesn't exist in the system anymore. But if I mark her inactive, even though she doesn't work here anymore, it will still show that Kayla did the service last year or the year before that or whatever it may be. Okay?
Yes.
So when I mark Kayla inactive, I'm also going to uncheck all of the days of the week that she works, and I'm going to uncheck any groups that she belongs to. And then I'm going to say save and accept. Kayla has now been made inactive. She no longer works in my system. Now, what if I wanted to add somebody brand new? Again, same thing. I go to Setup, and I go to my operator files. Now I can type in a brand new person, and I'm going to create a brand new a staff member named Caroline. So I type in just the first name, nothing else, just the first name in this top field. And then after I've typed in the first name, I hit enter on my keyboard. And that brings me up to my operator information. So I get to choose her sex, and then I choose her title, and let's say that she is a hairstylist. Then I put in her full first and last name. I can put in this additional information, but it's not required. You do not have to put this information in. Next, the days of the week that she actually worked. Maybe she works Monday to Friday. So I'm going to leave Sunday and Saturday unchecked. If I have her email address, it's a good idea to put it in because the software can do really neat things with email. Once I've put that basic information in, I can hit accept. And Caroline is now part of my system. But I haven't put in her schedule or anything like that. All I've done is add her to my system. So in order to do those things, setup, operator files, choose Caroline. And I can go to her schedule. And I can say that Caroline on Mondays works from 9 to 5. So I choose 9 a.m., accept, and then I choose the next time here, and I say 5 p.m., accept. Now on Mondays, she's going to work from 9 to 5. On Tuesdays, I'm going to say she works from 10 to 6. On Wednesdays, from 10 to 6. On Thursdays, 9 to 5. And Fridays are going to make it a little bit different. We'll say 10:30 to 4:30. So I've put in her times. Notice the calendar has not changed yet because I haven't actually saved any of this. When I press exit, it's going to ask me if I would like to save these changes. Do you want to save these changes? Yes. Now I don't need to go back into her schedule, but if I do, then her schedule is reflected in the calendar below. If she said on the 26th, I have a doctor's appointment, and I won't be coming in until 12 o'clock. Instead of changing Thursday to 12 to 5, I just changed the 26th to 12 to 5 p.m. So just that one day's schedule has been changed, leaving her Thursdays normally 9 to 5. Does that make sense?
Yes, but can you also do that as just as a block time in the agenda so we can see why they're not here or something like that?
Well, absolutely. If I went into Caroline's schedule, for instance, I would be able to go into her appointment book and I can go to my week view instead of her day view. So the day view screen, remember, looks like this. But if I were to go into my week view by right-clicking here, then I can choose from my staff, and there's Caroline, and this is her schedule for the next 2 weeks. And with my little plus or minus signs, I can see up to 31 full days on a single screen.
Oh, wow.
I can also use these arrows on the left and right to advance this number again. So this is from October 3rd to October 30th, and then I click on this button, and now I'm looking at October 31st all the way to November 27th. So I'm looking at just her schedule. So let's take a look at that 26th. You'll notice that on the 25th, there's her time, but on the 26th, she's not coming in until 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I would like to see, for example, I can see now that she's great, but sometimes people have to leave just only 1 hour earlier or something, and they tell me in the morning. I like to just block that, and that I can make a note why they leave an hour earlier, because we have to.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So let's say, for instance, that Lynn called and said, I'm going to be an hour late. Normally, she comes in at 9 o'clock. So she's going to come in at 10 today. So I'm just going to right-click on Lynn's name. And I'm going to change schedule for Lynn for this day. So I'm going to choose to 10 o'clock and accept. So that's one way to do it. So now she's not coming in until 10. But you said you wanted to see why she wasn't coming in. So what I'm going to do is, let's say Lizette calls and says, you know what, I'm going to be an hour late, but I'm going to be an hour late because I have a doctor's appointment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to 9 o'clock, and instead of left-clicking to block out the time, I'm going to right-click to place a blockout. And now I've got a list of blockouts to choose from. Okay, I haven't done that yet, so let's do this. I'm going to choose the time of my blockout, so it's going to be a full hour, so I choose time. Go down here, right click to place my blockout, and then I've got a list of blockouts to choose from. Now, none of these blockouts exist right now.
No.
You create them. You can create a list of blockouts. So I'm going to choose doctors. So now her time is blocked out, but it's for a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to create blockouts, I go to settings and I go to my blockout names. Now I've got all of these different blockouts that I've already created. Meeting, lunch, finish time, extra, receiving service doctors, Allie and Kathy. These don't make any sense, but it's very easy. You just type in whatever you want. So I'm going to say whatever and add. So that is now a blockout that I could choose. So I could choose a time, like an hour, and then I could right click on Lynn at 12 o'clock to place a blockout. And now I can say that this is for whatever.
Yeah.
So yes, you can change their schedule on the fly, but you can also set specific blockouts as well.
Yes. En dat om en om werkt, dat vraagt het. Volgens mij kan dat wel.
Yeah. Can you also show us how, if one person works every other Saturday, how you book
an alternating schedule?
Okay. So I go to my operator files.
Yeah.
And I choose somebody like, let's say Leslie here, and I go to her schedule.
Yes.
Now, this is her standard weekly schedule. Okay, she's working Monday through Friday, and she works occasional Saturdays. And I've said her Saturdays are normally off. I can choose an alternate. So I go to alternate 1 here. And I'm going to say apply every other week. And I can put in for a group of time, like let's say just for the summer. So I can say until a specific thing, or I can put in a date maybe far into the future, like maybe 5 years into the future or something like that, or even 10 years, it doesn't matter, or maybe just for the summer or whatever it may be. But I'm going to say you're going to apply this new schedule every other week until October 1st of 2025. So I put in 10/01/25 and I hit enter to fill it in. And then I'm going to say Saturdays are going to be 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I'm saying that as an alternate schedule, every other week until October 1st of 2025, she's going to work every Saturday from 10 to 5. Her standard schedule, Saturdays are off. Her alternate schedule shows that she works Saturdays from 10 to 5. And when I exit, it'll ask me if I want to save these changes. That's how you set up an alternate schedule. I'm not going to do that on this one because I use her for my demos. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. The good news so far is that each time you've asked a question, I've had a positive answer. So hopefully it stays that way. Okay, so now we've talked about adding a person to your staff. How do you add a group, how do you add a room to your staff? So I'm going to go to setup, and I'm going to go back to my operator files. Adding a room is just like adding a person, except for one important difference. You put an asterisk before the name of the room. So here I'm going to put in asterisk and then the name of my room, whatever the name of my room is. I'm going to call it my turtle room. And enter. What is the title? Maybe this is a massage room. And the name of my room. And then, again, the days of the week that that room is available. Hopefully, every day that you're open should be checked. And what hours this is available for. And obviously, you would want it to have every hour that you're open.
Yeah.
And once you've done that, that room now exists. So when I go to set up a service, whatever that service may be, and I go through the process, let's say my head 90 here, I put in my my price, I put in my time, and now when I go to choose my rooms, look, the turtle room now exists. And I could say that the head 90 can be done in all of these rooms and it can be done in the turtle room and save, which I'm not going to do. That's how you add a room to the system. Well, how do you add equipment to the system? Almost exactly the same way. Setup, operator files, but this time instead of putting in an asterisk, we put in a plus sign. So by putting in a plus sign, then you put in the name of your equipment. VersaPulse Machine 1, Microdermabrasion Machine 2, Laser Hair Removal Machine 3, whatever. You're going to shorten those names like Laser 3, Microderm 1, things like that. Once you've entered a product, in a piece of equipment, exactly the same way you just entered a room, with the same type of schedule, the same type of days that it works, etc. Then, again, when you set up your services, let's go with my laser here, not hair, laser, and I choose a service, I can put in my price, my time, the rooms that it can be done in, and the equipment that can be used. Make sense?
Yeah, but do you also, does it give a sign, for example, so we for example, have one microdermabrasion machine. So I have one machine linked to the treatment. Do we also get then the pop-up in when we try to book it in the schedule, says like, oh no, this machine is already in process, used. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it. So we'll go choose John here, and we'll go with laser. And I'm going to choose a laser chest, and I'm going to book him at 10 o'clock for a laser chest. This client has 4 no-shows, good to know. And it wants to know what equipment. I'm going to choose my laser 1. So now John is booked in the Ruby room with the laser 1 machine. So if I tried to book somebody else here, then, and I wanted to use my laser machine, the laser 1 machine would not be an option.
Okay.
And it would tell me if there were no additional laser machines. Now, see, I've got laser 2 and laser 3 here.
Yeah.
But if there were no many lasers available, then it would say there is no equipment available to this service cannot be booked.
Okay. That's important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we have you booking rooms and equipment as well, not just people.
Ja. Ik ook fijn dat je het zo gewoon ziet.
Were there any other questions before we continue?
No.
No.
Okay.
That's
So now what we're going to talk about is creating commissions for your staff. Do you pay with commissions?
No.
Oh, well then never mind. We can skip that.
Skip the commission part.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't use commissions, then we don't have to worry about that.
In Holland, it doesn't work like that. Commissions is in the pay, in the salary. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you pay them a salary, then you don't have to worry about commissions. Don't worry about that. That's what I was going to show you next. There is a payroll class that we can take. Payroll itself, from beginning to end, takes about an hour. So we're not going to go over all of payroll right now. In a beginner's class like this, I really normally just show the setup of commissions.
Yes.
But instead, right now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump to the appointment book, and we're going to go through the process of actually booking, unbooking, and rescheduling appointments, okay?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so I'm going to left-click on my book here. By left-clicking, it brings up what's called my day view screen. My day view screen allows me to see the people that are working today. And I can see up to 31 on a single screen. Now, I have mine defaulting to 15, and that's fine. You can have yours default to anything you want up to 31.
Yeah. No, I can already see with the group, you can select what group you want to see, right?
Absolutely. So I choose a group like hair, and only my hairstylists or colorists or whatever are going to appear. If I choose nails, only my nail technicians are going to appear. If I choose waxing, only my waxing and the rooms that waxing can be done in will appear. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a customer. So I click on my client, or I right-click to add somebody new. And now I can choose a customer. Let's go with Natasha here. I choose my group, and I choose a service, like a bikini. Notice that Maureen's name just grayed out. Maybe you didn't notice that.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but that means she doesn't do that service. Even though she works in my waxing group, she doesn't do bikinis. A lot of times you may have men, for instance, that do brow waxing and underarm waxing and back waxing, but they don't do Brazilians or bikini waxes, and that's fine. You can set it so that certain people don't do certain things. But maybe I didn't notice. I wasn't paying attention. So I wanted to go ahead and just book it anyway with Maureen. So I left-click to block out the time, and then I right-click to choose what type of customer they are. Maybe they ask for a particular person like Maureen. That's a request. Or maybe they don't care who they see. So I choose no type. This operator does not perform this service. The appointment cannot be booked because I wasn't paying attention. Oops. All right, let's book it with Melinda then at 9 o'clock. Left click to block out the time. Notice Maureen's was a half hour, but Melinda's is 15 minutes. Melinda's is different. If I go to Sarah, hers is 30 minutes. Again, because everyone can have unique. So I'm going to go with Sarah, block it out, right click to choose what type of customer they are. Maybe they asked for Sarah, so that's a request. What room is this going to be done in? The herbal room, and accept. Natasha is booked with Sarah for a bikini in the herbal room. That's how an appointment is booked. We left click to block out the time, then we right click to choose what type of customer they are, and the appointment is booked.
And can you do they also automatically select a room if you don't choose the room?
Yeah, it can. For instance, Sarah may have room preferences. So for instance, when we are setting up a person, let's just go with Caroline here, I can go to room preferences and I can choose Caroline, and I can say that her first room choice is the herbal room. So if it's available, it will automatically book it. What if it's not available? Then I'll say, okay, then her second room choice is elixir. If that's not available, then it will ask me what room do you want to use if there are more rooms available. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is in my preferences, setup, preferences, appointments. And here I can check this box that says auto book room if only one available. So if there's only one room available, then the system doesn't ask you for the room. If you have that checked, it'll simply book it to save you time. So not only can you assign rooms to specific people, saying if that room is available, that's the room they want, but you can also say if there's only one room available, don't even bother asking me, just book it.
Yes. Makes sense.
If you don't have that checked and there's only one room available, it will still ask you to choose that one room.
Perfect.
All right. So now what we've done is we've booked some appointments here, and let's go to my hair group. Now people can work in different groups. You'll notice that Leslie here is in my hair group, but I've got her scheduled for Botoxes. Matthew is in my hair group, and he's doing men's haircuts and female haircuts. Maureen is in my hair group, and she's doing massages as well. So you can have people in multiple groups, of course, but not necessarily. It's entirely up to you.
That doesn't make a lot of sense, I think. But
okay, so now I want to reschedule an appointment.
But can I ask?
Let's say.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. So the lady, for example, you just booked for a bikini wax, and she then after that she wants to go to the hair salon for a haircut. Is that possible doing one booking, or do you have to make separate bookings then?
Okay, you certainly can make separate bookings. That would be easy enough. You could certainly book her in, the waxing group with a particular time with a particular person, and then you could go to the hair group and book her with a particular person at a particular time. Yes, you can do that. But you can also do this, multi-book.
Yes, that's.
And you can choose from either pre-created packages, or you can create a multi-service on the fly. So for instance, I could go to multi-service and then say with anybody, or I could choose a specific person, but I'm going to say with anybody, I want to do a acrylic fills, and I stick it in. Then I say, okay, also with anybody, I want to do a back facial and stick it in. And then finally, I'm going to say with anybody, I want to do let's say a blow dry and curl and stick that in. So I can accept that. Then I can say, what day are they interested in coming in? Well, let's stick with today if we want, but I could choose a different day and choose my starting and ending dates. I can also choose whether they want to come in the morning, afternoon, or evening, or I could just choose a time. They don't want to come in any earlier than 9 a.m. Then I hit go, and every available option, if there are any available, will come up. So now I can choose a time that works for the customer. So for instance, I'll choose this time here, and let's take a look. I'll hit show to see what we've got here. Michelle is going to do the acrylic fills at 1:30. Melinda's going to do the back facial at 3 o'clock, and Melinda's also going to do the blow dry at 4. Does that work for the customer? If it does, then I can choose my customer, whoever they are. Let's go with Sylvia Galen here, and book it. If any rooms, no rooms are available. The appointment cannot be booked. Aha, good to know. Okay, so I could choose something else or even choose a different date. Maybe I'm going to choose from the 4th and do the same thing and hit go. Again, now it's going to find a lot of options because I know that tomorrow is wide open. I don't think I have anything booked tomorrow. Maybe I have a couple of things. But I'll stop that and I'll choose one that works for the customer. Show so that I can see exactly what it is. Maureen is going to do the acrylic fills at 9:30. Michelle's going to do the back facial at 10:30. Michelle's going to do the blow dry and curl at 11:30. Does that work for the customer? Yes. Book. Aha, room. Elixir room, and it's done. Let's take a look. Let's go to tomorrow. And there it is. Sylvia Galen is booked with the acrylic fills with Maureen, and the back facial with Michelle, and the blow dry and curl with Michelle after that as well. So it can find the openings. If there are no openings, you won't be able to do it.
So, but you only see when there's no room available at the moment you try to book it.
That's right. That's right. And you can force it, by the way. I have a preference setting that allows me to force it, which is why these two were booked. And I can right-click and I can unbook these as well by saying unbook all this day, and it just unbooks that client's appointments for that day.
Yeah.
So that takes us to unbooking, actually. So, for instance, I could go here to Ann Sabella and right-click on her appointment and select unbook or unbook all this day. And that will unbook that appointment or additional appointments that she may have booked that day for that customer.
So
that's
it's like
one way.
Canceling an appointment.
That's right, if they cancel. But what if they want to reschedule? Well, then I can do something pretty simple. Maybe Ann here says, hey, I can't come in today, but what other times does Abigail have tomorrow or the next week or whatever? I'm going to go to Abigail's schedule, right-click, and go to her week view. So now I'm in Abigail's schedule, and it's Ann that wants to reschedule, so I just check reschedule. Now I can drag and drop. I can move this to 10 o'clock today. No room available. Okay, good to know. So that's not going to work. I can also, whoops, let's go ahead and go back to my current day. So another thing that I'm able to do, that just unbooked that appointment. Another thing that I'm able to do, though, let's right-click on Jessica here, go to her week view, reschedule, and I can change it to a different day altogether. I could go change this to, let's say, I'm going to go with reschedule. Please select a service. Oh, yes, of course. I have to go with try that again. Sorry about that. And I go to week view, reschedule, left click and hold it down. Why? Oh, of course. I'm sorry. I don't normally do this in a beginner's class. I'm sorry. So we're going to choose this, and we can move this from one place to another, choosing a service, and then I can just drop it into another space. I can also right-click on the appointment and select reschedule. I'm not finished with that one. Oh, that's because I'm not finished scheduling the first appointment that I did. How silly of me, for Ann. Let's clear this. I think I've got it right here. No, I must finish that first reschedule. Oh, not by first name, by last name. And move it, and move it. There we go. And right click and go to my week view and reschedule. Left click to hold it down and drop it into October 5th, drop it into October 9th, drop it into October 12th, or a different time, etc. So dragging and dropping is a really simple way to do it. Another way to do it would be to right click and select reschedule and then move it somewhere else. It's just a few more steps required, which is why I like to use the reschedule tab so that I can just drag and drop and take it anywhere I want. That's what I was trying to show you, but I hadn't completed the first reschedule for Ann Sabella, and that's why I was having that difficulty. As I said, not normally, you guys are asking some more advanced questions, not normally something I show in a beginner's class like that, and that's fine. So we ran into our first little hiccup there. Do you have any other questions on booking, unbooking, or rescheduling appointments before we continue?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
All right. So now let's talk about the point of sale. So the first thing I can do is if I'm in the appointment book and I want to check somebody out from the appointment book, I can right-click on a particular appointment and select Checkout. And it opens my point of sale with their ticket already ready to go. Now I can add things to this ticket. Maybe they were upsold. So I can choose service and say that she also saw Christian and she also got a blow dry. So now I've added that to the ticket. I can also add a gratuity. And I can put in a dollar amount for Christian and accept it, and then put a dollar amount in for Debbie and accept that, or I can just put in a percentage and let it do the math for me. So Debbie's going to get $18.75 and Christian's going to get $6.30. Now I also want to sell her a product. And I can, if I know the SKU number, I can type it in, or if I have a barcode scanner, I can scan the product, or if I want, I can look a product up by name. So I click on retail. Let's go with that one that we created earlier. Search, and I put in a portion of the name, find the product that has that in its name, get to choose who made the sale, like Angie, and last. So Angela Fajardo was sold by Angie, the JoJo color 15 ounce for $30. It puts in my local tax, and perhaps I'm ready to go. So now I can go to payment and accept payment in a myriad of different ways. I can choose payment in cash. So maybe she gives me $240. So I put $240 in here and it will make my change. Or I can accept a check for that amount and put in a check number. Or I can accept a credit card. If I am processing directly through the software using our preferred provider, then it's going to look like this. And I'm going to click this button and it's going to ask me to put my card into the chip reader or to swipe the card. But if I'm not using our preferred provider, it's simple. It's just going to look like this. And I'm going to choose what type of card she used. By doing that, I'm able to keep my reporting accurate, even though I'm not actually processing directly through the software, because I'm using a terminal outside of the software with a different company, and that's fine. I can also accept a gift card or gift certificate. I can type in a gift certificate number, or I can swipe a gift card. Please note that you can't accept a gift certificate or gift card unless you have sold that gift certificate or gift card through the software. That's how the software is aware of it.
Yeah,
Also,
so we have to make sure all our sold gift cards are registered again.
Yeah, or
in
we
the
can
system.
use the check thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're going to accept a gift card or gift certificate, you can also hit status, and you can put in a gift certificate number to make sure that they have the amount available on it, who it was bought for, how much has been used, what its current balance is. All of that is right here under status.
Okay, perfect.
So then we also have the availability for a series. A series allows you to accept a series as a method of payment. So I can sell somebody a series, and you create your series, whatever they are. Let's say I've got my European facial 5 here. So I sell somebody a series of 5 European facials. Well, if I do that, and maybe I sell it as a discount, so then in payment, they would own a series. And it would show that they have European facial 5 here with 4 of 5 remaining, or 3 of 5 remaining, or 2 of 5 remaining, until you use them all up. So you can use series as a method of payment for a particular service. Also, we have on account. And this is normally used for like deposits. If a client put a deposit on account with you, like for a wedding party or something like that, then it would actually show how much they have on account with you. And it would show up here next to their name. It would show how much money they actually have. Say that again?
Will it be in a different color so it pops up?
Well, yeah, up here it's going to show the amount either in red or in blue. If it's in blue, you owe that money to them, like a deposit. If it's in red, they owe that money to you,
yes.
like a, they owe you money because the last time they were there, they forgot their credit card and they're a good customer, so you allowed them to put it on account.
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, if it's blue, then you could say, hey, you know what? They have $500 on account, and so I'm going to accept on account as the method of payment, and it will reduce the $500 that you owe them by $224.83. Let me ask, are you part of a hotel or resort?
No.
Okay, then we can skip this one. This is for charging to rooms. Then, of course, you can also accept traveler's checks. The same way you accept personal checks, you put in the check number, or with a traveler's check, you put in the check number. Exactly the same thing. The only difference is in your closing report, you will differentiate between your traveler's checks and personal checks. Then you can also have other methods of payment, and you get to create any unique methods of payment that you accept, like BTX or maybe even trade. Your electrician came in and did your wiring, and so you gave his wife a day of beauty. So this is going to be another form of payment. So for instance, something like barter, and I put in something like electrician's wife. By doing something like this, it allows you to still show that Angela came in on that day and who she saw and what the services she received were and what the tips that people got were. All of that information is still there. It's in the history and it's there for reporting. But obviously you didn't take any actual monies in. In this case, it could be something else because you can create your own unique methods of payment. And then finally, we have rewards points. Think of rewards points like airline miles. If you set up our rewards program in the software, and that's a whole other class that takes about an hour to learn as well, or a half hour if it's really basic, but it allows you to assign points to services, to products, or even to referrals, so that when your customers buy services from you, buy products from you, or give you referrals, they earn those points. They can then turn around and use those points to get discounts or freebies from you, just like airline miles. And their points show up on their receipts as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that Angela here is going to pay $100 in cash. But remember, she owes me $224.83. So the $100 in cash, we're not clear yet. She still owes me $124.83. So I'm going to take an additional method of payment, like a credit card. And I'm going to say that she's going to pay with Visa the remaining balance and accept. Now, if the receipt is being generated, that's going to be blue. It'll print out the receipt or email it based on your customer's request. And I just hit accept. And it's done. Let's take a look at her client file. So in Angela's client file, if I go to history, I've got, she saw Debbie for a Pantsu 90 for $125, and she saw Christian for a blow dry for $42 on October 3rd. Also on October 3rd, she was sold by Angie, the JoJo color, for $30. And if I were to highlight any one of these, because they're all part of the same transaction, notice they all have the same transaction number. If I highlight any one of these, I can view the actual transaction and see everything that happened, including the fact that she gave gratuities, that she paid $100 in cash, and $124.83 in Visa. I can even, if I needed to, change the transaction. Maybe it wasn't Debbie who did it, maybe it was Jessica or something like that. I can actually change the transaction that has already been.
Yeah, but can you also do that a day later, for example?
Yes. You can do it for last year if you want. Anytime a transaction has been completed, you can go to that transaction and modify it.
Okay, so yeah, when we see our register isn't correct or when we close
that's
the
right.
date,
If something went wrong, that's right. Somebody did something wrong, you can go in and modify the transaction to correct the error. Yeah, and we learn about modifying transactions in our advanced class, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. But it was just the system we're working with now. We can't do anything anymore at the moment we close our date. So, and that's not so working.
Well, let's take a look. Let's do it. Let's go to View Transactions, and we can go to Last Transaction, which is the one we just did for Angela Fajardo. But I can also go Previous, and I can look at previous transactions. I can just scroll through. Okay, so here's one from September 27th.
Yeah.
And April Wiggins saw Jessica for European facial, and she gave Jessica a gratuity. She also was sold by Debbie the Just an All-in-One shampoo, and she paid $100 in cash and $12.94 in Visa. I can go to modify and make changes. It wasn't Jessica who did it. It was actually Lynn who did it, and save. I could even change the client if I know the client number, and I can look up the client number just by going into their client file. So I can change the actual client number to say that it was actually a different client. But when I save my changes, then now it's Lynn who got the European facial. But look, it still says that Jessica got the gratuity. Well, that wouldn't be right. So let's go back into modify. I've got Lynn doing the European facial, and let's go to another piece of that transaction. There's Jessica getting the gratuity. Let's change that to Lynn as well and save that as well. Now, Lynn did the European facial and Lynn got the gratuity. And Debbie still sold the Just an All-in-One shampoo. So now when I run my report, Jessica won't get credit for this, Lynn will.
Okay.
I could even change the amount that was paid or even how it was paid. No, it wasn't cash, it was a credit card. Or no, it wasn't cash, it was a check. Or it was a gift certificate or whatever it is. I can change any part of a transaction that has already been done. Of course, you can password protect that, so you can protect yourself from an unscrupulous employee giving themselves credit for something somebody else did.
Good.
All right. So those are the basics of booking an appointment, rescheduling an appointment, and unbooking an appointment. Also the basics of processing a sale.
Yes.
For the purposes of our class, and if you can believe it, we've actually been on the phone for a little over an hour. It goes by so fast. But for the purposes of this class, we're done. But I want to ask, first of all, you can schedule additional training. Training is always free during regular business hours. So we can certainly schedule more training with you, absolutely. But I just want to ask, was there something you were hoping I was going to show you that I didn't show you that you'd like me to show you before we end the class?
No, I think because that's in the advanced class, the how to close, how to open a day, how to close the day, stuff like that. That's
yes, the advanced class does cover how to close a register. Absolutely. Opening the register, as long as you closed it properly the night before, then all you have to do is cross midnight to open without any. You just click on sales and it's open.
Okay.
So opening the drawer is not a problem because the night before, when you went through the process of closing, you put your float in for the following day.
Yeah, but sometimes that goes wrong as well. People can't count very well. So
yeah, you can even reopen a day that you've already closed if there was an error and you needed to make some changes and then close again. You can do that as well.
Yeah, but that goes. We're gonna get that in a different class.
Yes, in the advanced class.
Okay.
And you can sign up for those right through our website as well. If, by the way, you need some specific training on a very specific feature, like, for instance, the rewards membership loyalty program, or if you say, you know what, we really want to go in depth into inventory, we want to see how to create purchase orders and how to accept purchases, I want to see how to create my own barcode labels, anything specific like that, just send me an email and we'll book you a time, or you can go to chat, here we go, support, and you can ask them for a training time and they can give you one as well. But let me just give you my direct email address so that you can schedule trainings with me. It's a little bit long, that's why I'm writing it out. Let me make it a little bigger so it's easy for you to see. That's my email address, mattw@prosolutionssoftware.com. So if you say, hey, we need some additional training on this, feel free to send me an email and we'll work out a time together. Or you can always call the 800 number and just say, hey, we need some additional training on a specific subject. That way we can book it for that subject. Or like I said, you can simply go to support, and within 25 seconds or less, you're going to be talking to a live human being, and you can ask them for training as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to wait until most of our data is transferred.
Sure, of course.
And I think it will be a bit easier for us to understand what's actually happening when we've had some practice ourselves. Because it has been clear, but of course we need to practice. Yeah.
And also, don't forget, you're going to have a recording of this class that you just took right now, probably within the next hour or two.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. So
but I do need the email address that you'd like me to send this to.
You can send it to, because what email address do you have there? I think it is from r.panshu@invert.cc or something like that.
Okay. I don't know what I wasn't the one who did it, so
no, but you can send. But I will give you an email address where you can send it to. That,
okay.
Yeah, it's info, info.
Okay.
At Aveda, Aveda.
Minus.
Yeah, a minus, like a bar in the middle, dash, lifestyle.nl.
LIFESTYLE.ML, you said?
Yes. NL, like in Nicholas Leonard, Netherlands.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, November Lima, the way I would say it, but
yes. November Lima.
We're looking for
info at aveda-lifestyle.November Lima.
Yes.
You've got it. I'll have that emailed out to you probably within the next hour or two.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Thank you so much for spending time with me this morning, everybody. Have a great day.
Well, with us it's evening, but have a good day too.
Good day, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Bye-bye.